There was no house scene when I first started playing records. I didn't come up playing records in the house scene. I came up playing records in the 70s where it was just music. There was no brand of what was what. The records were better, a lot better in them days. They were made live. That was a pre-machine days, so you had much more quality than there is right now. Much better songs in them days as well. There was more, you felt there was more soul in those records at the time than there is today. Today it's much easier to make music. Even the inexperienced can sit down with a computer and make music. In them days, it wasn't about that. You had to have a talent to do something. Then I started doing it for people, for money. And eventually, one thing led to the next thing. In 1987, my first record that gave me major exposure was Instinctual by Imagination, where I sort of like, the promotional guy who was working the record came to the club I was playing in and said, you know, I have the new Imagination record. And he played it at that time, Phil Harding was big, the PWL crew. And they made it sound like a Rick Astley record. And I remember saying, you know, I love Imagination. I was like, no, this is not Imagination. This is just Rick Astley, you know what I mean, with Imagination on top. I said, let me mix this record. He was like, well, you know, I really don't have any money. The only money I have is to go towards promotion. I said, let me do the record. Did the record. It was a big hit, even though it was out of key with the vocals, because I had Arthur Baker was a producer in the group. They were like, you know it's out of key, you know it's out of key, but it worked. It still worked. So they couldn't say anything because they made the group, you know, big again all around with the big record. Arthur couldn't say anything. The record was massive in the clubs. He was like, but it's off key. I was like, Dwayne, oh, it be okay. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'm not a musician, so I don't come with from the school that things have got to be proper. I go by ear and by feel. If it works to me, I figure it's going to work on the dance floor. And it worked out all right. 1989, I came here while the DMC convention, and I played at Cindy Astoria with Pete Tong and Nicky Holloway. And that was the first time I did a short set. I'm used to doing 8-hour sets at that time. You know, the first 2 hours you sort of like warm up with everybody, you play mellow stuff as you come in. You know, I come from the school where there was no opening DJ. You opened and you closed. So you paced yourself. You opened the night with some mellow music and you built your tempo up, you brought them to a peak, you brought them back down. You went up again, you brought them back down. Now it's like, you know, you have 4 DJs in the night, 1.5, 2-hour sets, everybody comes in, bang, 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 out the door. You know, you keep the place at such a height, but there's no journey. Whereas when, you know, I come from the school where you went on a journey, you went somewhere different. That was the whole idea, you know, and your whole mood for the night reflected on how the atmosphere was going to be. So when I came out here and I played for 55 minutes, the guy said, okay, I said, you know, thank you very much, you know, it was great. I said, what? I said, you know, I'll play the whole night, there's no problem. And they were like, no, that's how we do things here. And I'm like, huh? You know, I'm just getting warmed up. By the record company to remix Discotheque, the new one. They liked it so much, they sent me a case of champagne, they signed it, they said, you know, thank you very much, we love it. I was like, okay, that's cool. And then they came to New York and they wanted me to get together with them, but I wasn't around. I was like, damn. My in-laws were to think that me being a DJ when I was a teenager, think that that was even going to get me anywhere in life. You know, there was a disillusion because at that point, DJs had no respect. It was like a waiter's job. I was in Japan the last time, and the minute I walked into the room, the place went ballistic. And I got like these rushes, and I was like, my hairs were standing in the back of my neck, and I'm like, I couldn't shake, and I was like, man, it's like, it was hard for me just to pick out that first record, because I never know what the first record is. And I'm trying to think, and I have my back to the audience, and they're screaming. The minute I turn around with the record in my hand, it was like, wow! To me, it's all, you know, it's universal at the end of the day. It brings people together, because you have one club in the middle of somewhere where every 10 countries had access to, and I would just drive away. Whoever likes that stuff that's going on in that club, out of all those places, they were all going to go there. And that brings them together under one roof where it doesn't matter from what country, what language they're speaking. At the end of the day, they're all dancing to the same melody and they're all feeling the same thing. So in a sense, they are together under one place. It's like going to church. For some people, that is church. You can do anything you want. You push the right buttons and you do anything you want. It won't matter. You can play a record 10 times. It's how you play that record 10 times to make them go even madder and madder and madder to, you know, to drive them insane. I like to play for an audience that wants to be seduced, that wants to go somewhere, that are into the music and are willing to, you know, they want to hear what you got to say.